I just want to show you the messaging that both Savannah and now Cameron have offered in their back-to-back Instagram messages here. And this, again, was Cameron alone last night.
This is Cameron Guthrie. I'm speaking for the Guthrie family. Whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you. We haven't heard anything directly. We need you to reach out, and we need a way to communicate with you so we can move forward. But first, we have to know that you have our mom. We want to talk to you, and we are waiting for contact.
Okay, so that's what we heard from Cameron himself last night. Now listen to the comparison.
As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk.
Whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you.
We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us.
We haven't heard anything directly. We need you to reach out, and we need a way to communicate with you so we can move forward.
We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her.
But first, we have to know that you have our mom. We want to talk to you, and we are waiting for contact.
This poor family is desperate for someone, if they actually have their mother, to be in touch.
It's
actually
abject cruelty.
Make it possible for them to interact. It's torture.
It is abject
this
cruelty.
Is ongoing fucking torture.
This is yet another scammer, or another alleged scammer. It is abject torture. It is why the penalties in the code are so steep for this, not just because of the interstate commerce, but because of the the interjection of the law enforcement's efforts, but also just the sheer torture that you put these people through.
Yeah, it's so awful. And you and I both have our doubts about whether it's even real. So it does, if I had to put money down, I'd say this is somebody intentionally torturing the family, trying to scam them, trying to get money from them in their most vulnerable, painful moment. And by the way, if that's true, then it means the real kidnapper, murderer, whoever never hurt Nancy, however they did it, perpetrator is out there watching the whole thing, letting them suffer too. Like, it's not enough that they did something to the mother. They're letting the torture go on day after day after day. When I saw those three people, Ashleigh, the other night on camera, all I could think was, these are torture victims. That's what's happened to them.
Yeah. And so often, and we don't often see this, right? Because this is a very high profile case, but in so many of the true crime cases that we covered, this is the reality. This is what people go through when their loved ones go missing. Do they get a high profile ransom note sent to TMZ? No, but oftentimes they are left just as terrified and just as traumatized, especially if it's their children. And you don't see as much of it on the media.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get to your reporting, because it was very clearly the gorilla in the room yesterday at that presser, where it came up 3 different times, 4 total, with the sheriff saying, we have no suspects, no persons of interest, and then some broadsides, quite clearly, I thought, at you. I think you agreed. I watched your show this morning without naming you. And some in the media are piling on, if these influencers looking for clicks are reporting, irresponsibly. That's bullshit. You are not an influencer looking for clicks. I've known you 20 years. That's not who you are. So people are dismissing this at their own peril. It is everyone there. Even the sheriff said, no one's been cleared. Everyone's a suspect. So it is not inappropriate to start where all law enforcement starts, which is with the family, and work out. That's what you're doing. You would be doing that even if your law enforcement source had not said that the brother-in-law may be the prime suspect. It's not inappropriate to ask questions about the family. It's actually imperative. So here's what the sheriff said. Let's listen to SOT 19B.
Nobody's eliminated, but we just really don't have enough to say, this is our suspect, this is our guy, we know, or our gal. We just don't know that. And it's really kind of reckless to report that someone is a suspect when they could very well be a victim. It just, I bring to you, to the media, I plead with you to be careful of what it is we put out there, because we don't have anybody here listed as a suspect, and you could actually be doing some damage to the case, but you can do some damage to that individual too. This is social media is kind of an ugly world sometimes.
Okay, so Ashleigh, are you standing by your exclusive reporting broken 2 days ago now that
Three
a
things.
top law
I think we're
enforcement
at three.
official who,
Yeah, real early on.
three, okay, who's an impeccable source told you that Tommaso Cioni, who is married to Annie Guthrie, Savannah's sister, may be the prime suspect in this case,
At this
and
time.
that
At this time.
this time, and that the car that was towed and impounded was Annie Guthrie's car.
Yeah, the word that was used was towed and taken into evidence. I noticed that was actually confirmed yesterday. Car was towed and is being processed as per warrant. That was said by the
Sort
sheriff.
of. He didn't say it was Annie's, and
The
the way
car,
he said it, Ashleigh, raised me a bunch of questions. The car, and he made it sound like it was at the crime scene, which is odd. I don't know that Annie Guthrie's car was at the mother's house at any point. You know, actually, here we have it, SOT 16. Let's listen to how he described it.
The car, the car that was at the home, it's just standard investigative practices. It's part of the search warrant scene, court orders. We pull it out of there and do our scene processing with the vehicle.
Part of the search warrant
Well,
scene.
and at the home,
That would
you know,
speak to it being at Nancy's.
It just said at the home, and they've been at 2 homes. Law enforcement has been at 2 homes. And my source said definitively, car was towed and is in evidence. That's 3 days ago.
And that it was Annie's.
And said it, Annie's car. Did not say the car, said Annie's car. The sister's car was towed and is in evidence. And he only would say the car.
He did not
at the
deny
home.
it.
He didn't deny it. He didn't deny a lot of stuff yesterday. He took pot shots, and I get it.
Okay, but let's get to
it.
the big headline about Tomas and what your source, because I heard your show. Have you been checking in with your source on that piece of your reporting?
Multiple times per day. And yesterday, I was told by the same source, still on target. And then he said, let me put it to you this way. If they're taking shots at you, you're standing on the target. That was his words.
So no wiggling, no backing
down.
No
backing down. No change.
And let me ask you this. Is he, even though I'm just saying he, I don't know whether it's he or she, but is this person, you say a top law enforcement source, but is this person in a position to know about what's actually happening in this case?
Yes. And then after the break, I was informed on day 2 that the sheriff's department tightened up like a noose, angry about leaks. And so if my information wasn't accurate, why would anybody be worried about leaks?
Mm-hmm. Who would care? What Ashleigh Banfield,
right? It must be just some influencer.
Is reporting.
So that also strengthened this information. I didn't need the strengthening, thank you, given the level of this source of mine. And by the way, I got asked yesterday, Megyn, by somebody in the mainstream media, well, you're not working for a main network now. So have your standards dropped? I thought, right. Well,
Lord,
I've been at it 38 years. I don't think I'd throw my entire 4 decades away for one story. You know, I get it. People have to have their own headlines too. But I did find that pretty offensive. No.
Well,
my standards haven't
I've
dropped.
noticed something else. Some people who consider themselves close to Savannah, I've observed, have been particularly dismissive of this report. And I don't know if that's out of loyalty to her, like she wouldn't like this, or whether they've actually been in touch with her and she doesn't like this. Either way, with all due respect to Savannah and the family, it's fair reporting.
Yeah.
And you certainly could not go by what Savannah wants you to report in covering this case. Of course, she'd be inclined to defend her family, even her in-law family members. And that there's no question you wouldn't depend upon one of the victims of the crime to guide your investigation as a reporter of the crime. So I've just noticed there's a strain of people who I know consider themselves friends of hers who have been particularly disdainful and are trying to move the coverage elsewhere. And that just can't happen.
Well, that would be a hit.
That's not how this
to
game
integrity
works.
Of what I do. Would I change the way I work because of who I'm covering? No, unfortunately. And it's been very difficult. We've had to cover, I remember one of the first stories that I covered in 1988 was someone I knew was nicked by the feds for cross-border drug dealing, and I had to put it on the news.
Oh.
That was one of my very first stories as a cub reporter. And it was
Wow.
like, well, baptism by fire, here we go. And so out it went, exactly as the police had reported it to us at CJBN in Kenora, Ontario. But yeah,
Wow.
that would be a questionable move in journalistic scruples if I decided to couch the reporting because of who I'm reporting on. And it's hard. It is hard. But I will say this. Law enforcement doesn't tell us everything. That's the way it works. In fact, I think that's what the sheriff actually even said yesterday. I wrote his quote down. Yeah. He was asked, are you purposely withholding information because of the active investigation that might be leading you in a particular direction? And his answer was this, this is no different than any criminal investigation that we conduct here. Went on to say law enforcement's conducted investigations since 1865 in Pima County. We are always mindful of what is in front of us and what we should release and can release. There's legal guidelines that guide us, but there's also strategy
And there's
too.
strategy.
I'll leave that for you to determine. So that is the way it works. We're not idiots. They don't have to tell us everything. But there is also a balance between the public interest and transparency. And we are always working that balance. In Koberger, they flat out lied to us. They flat out lied to us. There's no concern for the public. This is a targeted attack on these 4 kids. That was bullshit. There was an absolute concern to the public. For 6 weeks, Brian Koberger, a maniacal quadruple murderer, was out there and maybe eyeballing other friends of his at Washington State University. There's a lawsuit. That was going on. And we know that on the 19th of December in 2022, they identified his DNA as he is the holder of the DNA from the knife sheath. December 19th. What did they do on December 20th, the next day? They recorded a video. The police chief, James Fry, the Moscow PD, recorded a video of himself and posted it on the Moscow police website saying, we have no suspect. Let me read it for you. These are his words. No suspects identified, and only vetted information that does not hinder the investigation will be released to the public. We encourage referencing official releases for accurate and updated progress. They were already chasing him across the country at this point. This guy has full access to every state between Washington State and Pennsylvania with his dad as he's crossing the country. But that's what they chose to tell us. So what is the public's interest in knowing what reporters do and what the police do? We all have a job to do, and there is a balance. But there are a lot of people in that neighborhood where Nancy Guthrie lives who are very, very afraid, who said there's never been crime here. It's a safe place. We're really worried.
Well, let me tell you something else. CNN had absolutely no problem, none whatsoever, in going with the flimsiest, I'm mentioning them because there was an anchor over there who was ripping on this, the flimsiest reporting and sourcing possible when it came to Russiagate. Same conclusion times 100 for MSNBC. So if anything that would reflect negatively on President Trump, they don't need double sourcing. They don't need on the record sources at all. Same for the New York Times for that matter. So now suddenly it's just because it's Ashleigh Banfield and she's in the quote influencer realm that's not an okay, a top law enforcement official with whom you've had a relationship for years, whom you call impeccable.
Over a decade.
Now suddenly it's suspect for over a decade. So this is this is fair game, and I'm
little inside baseball.
I resent what's being said about you.
Yeah, I do too. But okay, I get it. I got big girl pants on. But I will also say this: that things have changed many times over in the years that I've been doing this. I've gone from broadcast news, local news, cable news, and then I'm now doing podcasting. But the way it used to be was that if you don't have 3 sources, you can't take it to air. That has changed. Now it is the caliber of your source. Now it is really who that source is, the trustworthiness of that source that is oftentimes completely acceptable to all mainstream outlets, right? So I am a little surprised on this one that I'm getting the flack, but especially with the sheriff's answers.
International disputes, inflation, rising national debt, digital currency. There is a never-ending list of reasons that gold has risen over 700% in the last 20 years. And a never-ending list of reasons smart Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals with Birch Gold Group. Gold can thrive during uncertainty, which is why it's a crucial part of a balanced strategy. It gives you peace of mind, given all the events that could impact the U.S. economy. See if holding gold in a tax-sheltered retirement account is right for you. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. Just text MK to the number 989898 to receive your free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, consider letting Birch Gold help you diversify with gold, so you too can have peace of mind regardless of the uncertainty. Text MK to the number 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.